Hey, everyone imagine sitting by a cozy fire, and something wonderful happens that changes everything. That's what happened to me one quiet evening. I still think about it and smile before I tell you more. I'd love to hear where you are right now. Are you in a big city like Chicago, or a small town with green fields? Stories like this travel far and touch many hearts. If you like it, please hit that like button and subscribe. It's fun to share these moments with friends who get what it's like to feel happy and surprised no matter how old you are. Okay, let's go back to that special night. The house was super quiet because everyone else was asleep. My grandson Alex had his buddies over for the weekend. They played games and laughed a lot in the family room, throwing snacks and having fun like kids. I was in the kitchen cleaning up, but really I was listening to their happy sounds. It made me remember when my own kids were young, and the house was full of noise. By midnight the boys went upstairs to play video games softly. I should have gone to bed too, but I walked to the living room instead. The fireplace was glowing warm and bright. I love fires, they make crackling sounds and light up the room like magic. I sat in my comfy chair, covered myself with a blanket, and let my mind wander. Then I heard steps. I thought it was Alex coming for water, but it was his friend Can. I sit here, he asked from the door, with the fire shining on his face. I was surprised he could have stayed upstairs, but he looked like he wanted to stay. I said yes and pointed to the sofa. Can't sleep? I asked. He smiled a little and said, sort of. The fire looks nice. He sat down, not too relaxed or too straight, just comfy. We didn't talk much at first. The fire made noises and shadows danced on the walls. The heat felt good between us. I wondered if I should say something, but he spoke first. Alex talks about you a bunch, he said in a calm voice. I laughed quietly. I hope it's good stuff mostly, he said with a grin. Then he added, he says you're the bravest person he knows. That made my heart feel tight. I've taken care of my family through tough times, but hearing it from him felt special. I'm not sure, I said, smiling, but inside, it meant a lot. We started talking slowly about school, his home, small stuff and big stuff. He asked real questions like how long I've lived here, if I like cold weather, and what raising kids was like. Each answer made him ask more, and soon I was telling old stories I hadn't shared in ages. I talked about waiting up for my son when he was out late, the worries moms have. I shared about my husband who passed away, and how we used to sit by this fire and dream. He listened for real, with his eyes on me, not looking away or waiting to talk. It felt like he was just a nice guy, not my grandson's friend anymore. We were two people sharing thoughts. Looked at me for a bit, and his eyes got softer. Maybe that's why I came down. He said softly, I needed someone like you to hear me. His words made the room feel warm and kind. I felt special, but also a bit open. Without thinking, I put my hand on his gently. It was just a nice touch. He didn't move away. He turned his hand so mine fit better. The fire popped and everything else faded. There was just his warm hand, the fire's light, and a new feeling growing, something sweet and real that we both felt but didn't plan. I moved my hand back after a while, not because I was sorry, but to be careful. But the feeling stayed in my skin and heart. When Alex came back full of energy and tailies, we acted normal, but I knew something had changed. Something new had started that night in bed. I stared at the ceiling and felt more excited than I had in years. The next days had a secret excitement I didn't expect. It was like the fire's glow stayed with us, making every talk and look special. I noticed small things about him. How he thought before speaking, how he tilted his head when listening, the quick smiles when he saw me. Our days had a normal beat, but now there was a gentle flow just between us, even if we didn't say it. One day Alex went out with pals and I was alone in the living room. Sunlight came through the windows, warm like gold, but I felt like I was waiting without knowing it. Sure enough, he came in with a book and sat on the sofa. He looked at me and smiled, that knowing smile that made me feel important. I thought I'd read by the window today. He said, it feels right. I nodded, fixing my hair. Yes, the light here makes worries go away for a bit. He really looked at me and I felt a nice warmth, not just liking him, but feeling known and liked back. It was deep, like being valued. We talked about books and stories that changed us like old friends in pages. His questions were kind and made me think. He asked my favorites, and as I answered, I shared bits of me from long ago. He closed his book and leaned back, watching the sun on the floor. "I wish I was like you," he said shyly. I was surprised why he shrugged. "You've seen so much, but you still see beauty in little things. Most grown-ups forget that, but you don't. You pay attention, you care, you make friends easily." His words made me proud and a little sad. There were times I forgot beauty too, lost in work and sadness, but he saw what I kept and it felt good. I sipped my tea slowly. "Thanks," I said softly. "It means a lot. Noticing small things keeps us happy." I think he nodded, eyes kind. "Yes, exactly." We got quiet, but it was a good quiet, full of knowing each other. I looked at his face, his moving hands, his voice. A closeness grew, not from talking or touching, but from being there together. Later, as the sun turned to evening, he moved a tiny bit closer on the sofa. I felt his arm's warmth and my heart beat faster, not from wanting, but from knowing life can surprise you even at 55. "I could feel new ties that are special. You make this place feel alive," he said quietly. I laughed a bit. "It's always been alive. I just needed someone to show me." He smiled, and those words meant more than they seemed. We respected each other, and there was a quiet nod to something we didn't name, a bond bigger than ages. As the fire started again that night, making shadows, I understood these times are quick and can't be pushed. You just feel them and hold them dear. I felt every word, look, and pause. I found a new part of me that could still feel touched and open to wonder. By bedtime we sat closer, talking softly, hands near, but not touching the room. Burst with unsaid, knowing that life gave me a treasure, someone who saw the real me, no strings attached. He reminded me it's okay to feel a lot with kindness. Last weekend of his stay came with a quiet buzz. We both felt, but didn't talk about. The house felt cozier, like it held our secrets. I spent the morning fixing things up, making sure everything was nice, but my thoughts kept going to him, his calm, wavy ease. He brought Alex was out most of the day, so the living room was just for us. He stayed back on purpose. I think, though we didn't say it, he sat on the sofa like it was his spot, eyes meeting mine right away. "I don't want this weekend too." And he said, breaking the quiet. I felt a tug in my chest, knowing good times change, neither do. I whispered, "But even ends hold good memories if we let them." He nodded, looking steady. "I've learned so much from you these days about waiting, seeing life." "Right," I smiled with the fire's warmth in our eyes, "and I've learned ties don't stop at any age. Sometimes when you think time passed you by, life brings special times." We talked slow and deep about new things, fears, hopes, the load of years, and the joy of being heard without judging. There was an open feeling between us, a true sharing that made my heart grow like it hadn't in a long time. At one point he reached over and put his hand close to mine on the couch arm, not to take but to link. I let my hand stay there, almost shaking with the feeling. It was a soft yes, a small move, but it held all we'd shared. The fire snapped and the room hung in a fine line between young and old, past and now, wanting and holding back. I saw then how special this tie was. Not quick liking, not surface nearness, but a real meeting of hearts and thoughts that changed us both in small ways. He looked at me, eyes holding mine, and said softly, "You've taught me to really hear, to really see someone I won't forget." I won't either," I said. "This has been a gift." We didn't talk much after. Words weren't needed. The quiet was rich with thanks, knowing, and the unsaid truth that life opened a surprise door for us. I felt the pull of old days and the hope of now mixing in the room, a soft song of feelings that no years or rules could make smaller. As night came, Alex came home with laughs and stories filling the halls, and things went back to normal, but our tie stayed soft and strong like a hidden string. Through the days when it was time for him to go, I walked him out. The night air was fresh with smells of trees and dirt. I shivered, but not from cold. "Thanks," he said, voice firm, but full of feeling, for all of it, for hearing, sharing, being there. I Smiled eyes a bit wet, thanks for coming. I said softly for showing me at 55 life still has fun twists. Stopped like he wanted to say more, then just nodded and went into the night. I watched him leave feeling the moment sink into me. It was an end. Yes, but also a start to knowing myself better, life's surprise treats and the worth of ties. Past age or setup back in the warm living room, I sat in my chair by the fire. Again the flames shone soft like the leftover spark in the air, I thought. Of the days, the talks, the laughs, the quiets, and the soft unsaid link we'd made. Life surprises us even when we think we know it all. And sometimes those surprises are calm, small, and change. Used deep sitting there wrapped in my blanket and the fire's glow, I felt a peace I'd missed for so long for the first time in ages. I felt wide awake to chances of linking to the real, sharing between folks from different times, who find same ground in life's simple truths, kindness, truth, and wanting to see each other for real. And in that calm spot, I knew the tale of that weekend wasn't just about a visit, a pal, or even a tie. It was about finding again the bits of me that waited for someone to see, to wake the warmth I thought was gone as the fire's bits turned to a soft shine. I smiled, knowing life in its quiet way gave me a top gift, the nudge that it's never too late to be seen, to feel strong, and to link deep no matter your years. And with that I let the night wrap around me, full of thanks, thinking, and the soft happiness of living a time that'll stay in my heart always.